This program has been paid for by Strather Academy, creating developers within our communities.
Hello, how you doing? I'm John Hill, and thank you for joining us with another edition of Detroit New. Today on Detroit New is a very, very special episode. We're going to talk about the rebirth of Detroit, which you've heard before, but not only about downtown, actually the rebirth of Detroit, of the soul, if you will, of the inner spirit, on entrepreneurship. We're also going to talk about the rebirth of Detroit in the neighborhoods. So I'm joined today and have the pleasure of being joined by Mr. Herb Strather and Mr. Gordon Bizar, and they have teamed up for, I want to call you guys the dynamic duel, if you will.
I think that's fair.
I'm not going to say who's Batman and who's Robin. Okay? But Herb, if you can, first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know that you've done over $2 billion of real estate deals in the city of Detroit. I know that you really started the casino industry here in Detroit, and I know that you have a passion and a heart to really help Detroiters, and you're trying to get Detroiters to reinvest in Detroit while these homes are still pennies on the dollar. But why do you have this burning desire to really ignite and rebirth, if you will, be part of this rebirth of Detroit? Why do you have so much love for Detroit?
Well, John, I have a debt that I could never repay. I was born in the city on Mack and Mount Elliott. I moved to the west side on Herbert Street. So you might say I'm Herbert from Herbert Street. And if people did better in our neighborhood, they moved out to Northwest Detroit, Cherry Lawn, Rose Lawn. I thought, man, there must be cherries and roses on those streets. But I stuttered really bad, and I was stuck right there on Warren and Scotton area. And I remember just crying one day as a little kid in front of my church, and I said, if I ever get out of here, and I was stuttering.
Right.
I'm gonna come back one day and rescue my community and help little kids like me. And an Optimist Club came along and saved my life through hosting an oratorical contest. And after entering it 3 or 4 times, I won. I won the oratorical contest, became president of a Western High School graduating class eventually, and I wanted to be the president of everything, but I had a debt right then that I could never repay, and so I have built 150 Optimist Clubs in my life. I've donated scholarships to 3,100 students, and I am a Detroiter, and I love Detroit, and I have, like I said, I have a commitment, and I got hooked at an early age. I don't have a choice.
That'll work. And Gordon, can you tell us a little bit about your past, your humble beginnings, if you will, and how you, if you can keep on going to how you met and teamed up with Herb, and then we're going to talk about what you're going to do as far as entrepreneurship.
Oh, that's great. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was born in the middle class. I didn't have to struggle much in my lifetime. My dad was in business, so we had a pretty nice life. But it's also meant that I learned business from an early age. I went to work in one of my dad's floor covering stores when I was 13 years old. I started sweeping floors, pushing a broom around. Eventually, I became manager of the stock room, and eventually
that was big time.
That was big time, and I became manager of one of his, one of his chain stores.
Absolutely.
And so I learned the business from the ground up, and because I had a business family, I grew up with the language. I had the glossary of knowing what goes on in business and how to handle it. I had my trials and tribulations. My dad gave me a free hand in a lot of the things that I did, and sometimes when I did them wrong, he'd pull me up and say, "Now, your son, you did this wrong, but I'm backing you anyway because you made a decision. You took responsibility. You did it. You did the best you could. It wasn't right what you did. I'll correct it, but I just wanted you to know I'm proud of you for making the decision." So I had that level of support from my dad.
That's great.
Yeah, and by the way, as I began to be more successful in business, and I'll tell you some of these stories, that became a very important thing to me because I started to realize that there were a lot of potential business people out there that didn't have a business dad, who had no resource to fall back on, didn't know the language, didn't know the next steps, didn't know what to do. And it occurred to me there's a lot of latent talent out there that if they'd had a dad who was in business, they would be superstars in that. Absolutely. But they just don't have the opportunity. And part of my orientation in life is how do we give that opportunity to more people who didn't have the dad and whose dad did the best they could for them, but you can only work with what you got. Right. And after a while, you can no longer do any more for your kids because you just haven't had that level of of background. So anyway, just to kind of make that story a little.
No, I'm glad you made, because that is so important. But a lot of times, you know, people find their dads through other, you know, mentors
Right.
and leaders in the community and things like that.
Right.
So if you don't have a dad, you really have to just seek somebody who you admire, who you like, and kind of follow them.
Right. Yeah. Well, it can even go further than that. Sometimes you have people who have dads who are in business, but the dads aren't very giving about it. In other words, they go off, they do their thing, and they don't worry about the kids.
They're not even thinking.
They're
about
not even
that.
thinking about
Right.
it. They're just doing what they think is right, which is, I got to support my family. I want to do the right thing. I want to build my company. And so a lot of times people are really successful and they turn over the care of their children to caretakers. Sometimes they're family members, sometimes they're, call them babysitters or custodians or whatever you want to call them. But they don't get any education from those people. They don't get any training. They don't get any family. They don't get the depth of their own family and what their family has done to achieve what they have. And so that's a really important thing that I think is missing for a lot of kids. And they have to have another place to go get that if they're going to be successful. And again, as you'll see when I go through some of the elements of Relight Detroit, college is an important part of it. In fact, the one thing the colleges will tell you is they round you out. And yes, they do.
Yeah,
okay,
that's true.
But the thing is I'd rather have somebody round me out after I've made a lot of money. Okay.
I like that, Gordon.
Okay, and so they have a place, and a very important place in the system, and we will be working with colleges and universities.
Yes.
Because part of our program, when we help people follow a life path that's going to bring them to success, is they're going to want to end up as rounded out individuals, and they're going to want to have the social graces and the right speech patterns and all the things that will go to that level of success. But in the meantime, what people really need on their way up is somebody who can mentor them through the tricks and the nuances of what it takes to get around these obstacles and through these problems, and to help get the resources that they need to get behind them, like the money, like the financing. Right. For me, and I know Herb does this in real estate, we find that money is almost a non-important item, because you figure out ways to manufacture it in the deal. The deal itself has the strength to manufacture the support if you know how to do it. So what's really important is the know-how and the self-confidence that you have to get that deal done. And when you do it with a process where you're surrounded by those people, where you get the mentoring of those people, where the resources are there that you can tap right into them. So this, with Herb's buildings, that's what's going to go inside those buildings. We're going to put inside those buildings what people need, as if they had a business family, as if they have a business dad, as if they're tied in already to all those resources. So the real entrepreneur in them can come out, but not just the entrepreneur, because we're going to do that with people who have careers that are not entrepreneurial, but they require a lot of technical knowledge. They require a lot. I mean, let me give you an example.
Okay.
When I go into the music business.
Okay, well, let's use the Motown and Barry Gordy, for example.
It's a great illustration. One of the reasons that we do this first one in Detroit is because one of my partners, and who'll be a partner in this venture too, is a fellow by the name of Kerry Gordy. His dad is Barry Gordy. And one of the things that I respect incredibly about his dad is when his dad was in Detroit, he looked at the Ford Motor Company, and he said to himself, those guys mass produce cars, and they have an assembly line.
Right.
And if they have an assembly line and they can manufacture cars, why can't we manufacture stars in the music business? And so he put together a factory called Hitsville. Okay, and he went into the local neighborhood and he started recruiting some of the talent there that could sing. Okay, and he didn't care if they couldn't do anything else well, just can they sing?
And we're talking about talent like who?
Like the Commodores, like Diana Ross,
Temptations.
the
Four
Temptations.
times. Smokey.
Yeah,
Smokey Robinson.
Okay, well, Smokey could write too.
Yeah.
Right, and Stevie and everybody.
But the idea was that they were looking in the beginning for the folks who they could sing, and their voices were great. Then in the door they came, and then Barry Gordy surrounded them with everything it took to produce a star. The choreographers, so that they moved well, the people who would dress them and make sure that they had the right style and appearance, the PR people to promote them, the A&R people to help them develop out their talent,
Right.
the backup band, you know, that they had for all their groups, Holland Dozier Holland, who
Right,
wrote for
absolutely.
all of those guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had
Funk Brothers.
yeah. So you had all of those folks supporting that talent, and they would bring the talent in through the side door, and out through the front door, they would produce hits and superstars.
Yeah.
Okay, and he built that assembly line to do that with people. Well, I have a tremendous amount of respect for that methodology.
I'm going to take a break. I want to get more into Relight Detroit. I want to talk about that napkin that you have right there, because you told me the best deals you've ever made are on napkins, and we're going to talk about some of the deals that you've made on napkins too, because a lot of people don't know about your past and what you have done.
What is this? A text message from the Wayne County Treasurer's Office about my payment plan?
That's right. Our Project Text Message program allows you to enroll in our free text messaging service. All you have to do is provide your cell phone number. I'm here today with one of our customer service representatives, Karim Howe. She will explain how it works.
Our customer service team will send friendly reminders and text alert updates about your current payment plan. Everyone gets busy. We want to help you stay on track with your tax payments to avoid foreclosure. Call 313-224-5990 to enroll in our voluntary program. You will receive reminders on tax payment due dates and other important valuable information.
Join Project Text Message today by calling 313-224-5990 or email our office at textinfo@waynecounty.com. Stay in touch. Stay connected.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
So thanks so much for staying with us, and if you're just joining in, let me tell you, you're in for a fantastic treat. We're talking about relighting Detroit, but relighting Detroit with entrepreneurship. These two gentlemen next to me are about to have a new industry in Detroit. We have Motown, as we said, we have the Motor City. The new industry in Detroit is entrepreneurship.
Well, I don't know if it's new,
not,
because don't forget, our parents were entrepreneurs.
Well,
we somehow lost this.
That's what I was going to say, Herb.
That's why it's relight.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's why it's a relight.
I like that. There you go.
Because like you say, and I just want to, I have to give a plug. You might have to find me for $1, but my father was one of the first black gas station owners, if not the first black gas station owner in the city of Detroit. And he owned about 3 or 4 gas stations. He owned bars, he owned bump shops, he owned auto shops.
He was an entrepreneur.
He was a true entrepreneur. And my uncle, Herb, you'll
I
appreciate
know him,
that.
yes.
He was one of the first black real estate people in Detroit to own a real estate company.
Yes,
Realty.
yes,
So
absolutely.
entrepreneur, but we used to have barbershops. We used to own the stores. We used to have gas stations.
We still got plenty of barbershops.
No, well, yeah, I guess
But
we still got.
we
need more.
But we need more
entrepreneur spirit. And what you and Gordon are talking about aren't, as you said, your mom and pop shops entrepreneurship.
Right.
They're much more than that. And we have changed in a different world. So if you could talk a little bit
you know
about
what?
that.
Let me just say this, John. When we talk about entrepreneurship, Detroiters, wake up. Look, we got 70,000 vacant parcels in our neighborhoods right now that others in the world are very interested in buying, and they do not hesitate to move in and buy it. Yet they're next door, they're across the street, we can't get off the block. And each of these have about $40,000 worth of equity. Got $3 billion worth of equity, enough to make 3,000 millionaires, and we're sitting around walking like we been shot with Novocaine. So what we want to do is relight the spirit. And so I'm glad to have a partner.
Right, but let me say this, Herb, because I know you're glad to have, and I'm glad you guys are partners. But what you were saying about that, I want to really hone in on that, about Detroiters aren't seeing the opportunities with these parcels.
But what I thought was an interesting parallel is what he teaches in business.
Absolutely.
We're doing the same thing in real estate. Now the terms may be a little different. I may call my income net operating income, and he'd call his EBITDA. Earnings before income tax, depreciation, and amortization. But it's all the same thing. And Detroit has the greatest buoyancy in the world right now. You look at a piece of real estate, you say, what is it worth? You know, you ask 5 people, you get an answer from 20,000 to 70,000. And guess what? They're all right.
Right.
Because you could find it selling for 20,000. The banks are still selling properties off cheap and getting 97% reimbursed, so they don't care what they go for. And a homeowner is not about to sell their house for $20,000. They're going to get a more realistic price. And you got opportunities in mortgage programs. So it's really knowledge. We got a mortgage program that we give you $75,000 over the appraised value on any property in Detroit. Now, wouldn't that be some very valuable knowledge? So the knowledge that I could teach and that we do teach at Strather Academy,
Right.
Which is my little commercial to get for Detroiters to get involved. You know, just go to stratheracademy.com and get involved. You know, these tools that we teach where we can leverage, you can absolutely leverage the property and take cash out. And Gordon, you can do the same thing.
Speaking of leveraging, Herb, I'm holding out my money in my hand because you just did a commercial, so that'll be. But
we're making an entrepreneur out of you too.
You learn it fast.
So what Gordon was saying too, and what you were saying about finding the opportunity that people can't see, you actually show them through your real estate classes, through your business classes, how there are opportunities. Now, what's the, using other people's money, what's the biggest deal, Gordon, that you have done? And like we're talking from what, 100,000 to?
Well, again, it all depends how you define a deal. Like in the financing area, the smallest deal that I ever did was $100,000.
Okay.
And that was with Topa Thrift and Loan. It was a savings and loan that I leveraged some money out of for a credit line for one of my companies. And that was small in the grand scheme of things.
And you know, to a lot of people's eyes, that's huge.
Yeah.
You know, so that
Right.
we're talking about that,
Okay.
those breadcrumbs and that loaf.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and then the largest deal I ever did was actually something that involved Kerry as a partner, where we were working on securitizations of royalty streams.
Kerry Gordy.
Right, for people who had royalty rights on music. And it was a time when the institutions were looking to do bonds on people where you would put up your royalties, they'd loan you $10 million against the royalties, they'd turn it into a bond, they would move the bond to an insurance company that would then collect the income.
Understood.
Then when the royalties paid off the bond, which they would do over a period of 7 to 10 years, then the royalties reverted back to the person who owned the rights. So it was a way that they could not give up ownership of the rights and still get a big lump sum of cash that they needed perhaps at one time. So we negotiated 2 deals, one with an Alice Walton-owned company. That's one of the Sam's children, you know,
Sam's Club.
Yeah, the Sam Walton's group, her family. And with their investment banking firm to fund these.
That's one of the richest families in the world.
Right, yeah. And then we also, because we needed...
Was that a real estate transaction, by the way?
No, that was it. That was strictly... It was strictly to securitize. And then the reality is that they weren't going to be big enough to handle the volume because Kerry knows everybody.
You're right. Well, he said the other day when we were meeting with him that he is literally one person away from everybody in the world.
Especially in that industry.
In that industry, right.
Right. So then we negotiated a deal with Lehman Brothers for a $500 million line of credit. So when I try to put it in the context of money, that would be the biggest single deal.
And how much was that?
$500 million.
500 million.
500 million.
Right.
And Herb, I know you've done over $2 billion.
Well, you know, of course, the one single deal was Motor City Casino. I was the chairman of Motor City, of course, and we sold our interest for $400-something million, which was the equivalent of $1 billion. So let's say that's $1 billion. But John, and you know, the biggest real estate transaction I did was about $165 million with the related companies with a guy called Steve Ross School of Business in Ann Arbor. But what intrigues me is maybe the smallest transaction I've done, which I closed 2 days ago. But just so Detroiters can understand this, because most what I'm fixing to tell you, you're not going to believe, but it's true and it's a fact. So I bought a house for $100, $100, and it had a Mercedes sitting in it. It was across from Emerson School on Granville, right off Outer Drive. Now $100, you got to be joking. The mortgage foreclosure was $70. I bought it for $100. There's 2 of us bidding that day. So how could I buy it for $100? The bank got 97% of their 70,000 back. They did not care. Hell, the legal fees were $4,500 to close it. I closed it. I sold it for $60,000 yesterday. Now I had to put $5,000 or $6,000 in to fix it up.
Right.
And the student.
I didn't even know you sold the house.
Oh, I only gave you $10 to that, John.
My hand is out again.
John, I gave you
That
10% of
me
what
on
I bought it
purpose.
for. Oh, I may be talking too much now. But that's the kind of opportunity. Did you know
That's
that you can
unbelievable.
do that?
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And that is something that people can see. I mean, that would be classified as crumbs as far as the amount that you paid for it, but you turned it into a larger opportunity
Right.
of $60,000.
But see, people see a home as a major purchase.
It is.
Okay?
No matter what.
Right, and they're having a hard time affording one home, so to even think that they might own two.
Or three,
or
or
three or
four, or
four,
10, yeah.
right, and turn them into rentals or turn them into whatever else that we're going to do with them. See, that's already, that's for somebody who has money,
Right.
okay, and it's not.
It's
People
really if you
have
have
the
knowledge,
said,
right?
well
It's
said, Gordon.
if you have knowledge.
And my point here in saying this is you guys actually, you know, when you, when Maya Angelou said that if, you know, a naked man is trying to give you a shirt, beware, okay, because he's naked. But you guys have actually.
And it is amazing when they really, really do very, very well. And Duran allows me to use his name sometime, but one of my students named Duran, I didn't say his first name.
Right.
You know, he just closed on $150 million. You know, he was one of my first students. He did graduate from Michigan State, you know, and that's good, you understand? But he wanted to be an entrepreneur more than he wanted to work for the man. So
Right.
he went out and he made his deal, and I was just so proud of him. So, you know, it's a great feeling because we're creating the next generation of developers. And for me, you know, it's very, very important because the days I have ahead of me is much less than the days I have behind me, right?
So you have to give back.
So what I have to do is take the knowledge in my head and I have to deliver it and put it in the heads of others and young people, and they're going to take it to a time that I will not see.
And not only knowledge at your head, but the knowledge in Gordon's head too, since you guys are partners.
We
You
put our heads
guys-
together, Gordon.
Right, right. So you
mind
guys-
meld.
you mind meld. Well, we have to go now. This time has passed so fast.
wow,
I could
this
talk
is
to you
great,
guys
man. This
for
is just
hours.
great,
I'm
great,
sure,
great.
absolutely. But you know, I salute and applaud you too, and I guess I'll be helping out in the effort also.
I promise to pay you more than $10. So give me that proper, I swear.
That's hilarious. Okay, we got it on tape though, Herb.
Yeah,
So
I will pay John more than $10.
So, but yeah, I applaud you guys and what you're doing. Now, I do want to come back. You know, after the show, I tell you what, we're going to send people to your website and your website because Gordon has some things on the napkin that we want to talk about. Gordon, can you just summarize that really quickly? What's on that napkin?
I can.
Okay.
Again, this is in the Berry Gordy model of you bring people in one door, you surround them with everything that they need, and out the other door comes superstars already sculptured for hits. So the relight is the center, and that is going to be working with everything in the community to bring people up at every level. So
Okay.
you start with working with people in all of the various schools and nonprofits and all of that.
Right.
We organize with them so that what they do best, we shift to them. What we do best, they shift to us. The businesses in the community all get tied in for internships so that we can actually have people working at things and bringing their knowledge back and then working with them to improve those businesses. The same thing with various government agencies where we get support from them. But the ultimate goal is to bring everybody in, take them from wherever they are right now to literally unleashed, empowered persons, stars, manifesting their dream into financial, physical, and spiritual success for themselves.
That is great, man.
Well
That's
done,
something.
Herb. Well done, Gordon. Now, I tell you what, we're gonna, we actually got to close out the show now. But what we'll do is we're gonna tape you really going through that, and we're gonna send people to your website, and we're gonna send people to your website, and we'll have a little video of that clip that they can see. So if you want to find out more about what Gordon has wrote and Herb has put together on this napkin, and you said the best deals are done on napkins, right?
If you can't put it on a napkin, it's too complicated.
There you go. So you keep them simple. That's exactly what you do. First of all, Herb, would you like to look at this camera and tell everybody how they can get in touch with you?
Your invitation to
I'm
the
sorry, Herb. This camera.
Okay. Remember this, I rather have Strather, stratheracademy.com, where you can go there and you can get the tools that you need at an affordable prices, because we're here to deliver the goods to create the next generation of entrepreneurs. That's our #1 goal. Go to Strather Academy and download an affordable home study course and get started.
And Gordon, I had to, we had a little technical problem with lighting for a second. We got the light back on because this is Relight Detroit, so we relit the studio. If you will. But can you look right in the camera and
Sure.
tell people how they can get in touch with you and your website?
Sure. Well, the best website to get in touch with us is to see more about what we do, and you can do that at Getting Rich Your Way. And the your way is important because lots of people will tell you how to get rich their way, but we're going to show you how, no matter what your passion is, you can get rich your way. So gettingrichyourway.com, and you're going to see 8 of our graduates. You're going to see the kinds of businesses that they bought and took control of with none of their own cash. You're going to see how their lives went from ordinary and average to incredible, and the amount of income and wealth that they were able to create for themselves. And more importantly, the fact that they're all pursuing their passion. You can just read it right from seeing them on the screen that they just love what they do. They are so thrilled that how their whole lives have come together. So to me, it's equally as important, not that you just make money, but that you do it really doing what you love to do.
Absolutely.
And so you see that, it'll give you a really good understanding of us, and there's ways that they'll give you in there to connect with us, et cetera. Another site that you might want to go to is our actual main site for our parent company, which is nationaldiversified.com, and that's for National Diversified Funding Corporation. And there you'll see the full panoply, whatever that word is, of all the things.
Cornucopia. What's that?
Cornucopia, I like that.
I don't know what it is.
But you'll see all the different projects that we work on, and they're all oriented very, very similarly. It's how do you work at today's state of the art, using today's information and communication technology to optimize your capabilities, and how you pursue the visions that you have, and how you manifest them into reality and wealth for yourself, and betterment and wealth for your community. So that's what we do.
That'll work. Well, I want to thank you gentlemen both for coming on today, Detroit and you.
Been a good one.
Yeah, like I say, I applaud and salute you. I look forward to working with you both, and helping this dream come to Detroit, the city I love, city I was born into, and the city that now you are a part of.
Amen.
Absolutely.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
I'm pleased to have it.
And it's
that way
no
too.
better city
I
in the
love it
world
here.
to
Yeah,
be a
it's
part of
great.
Detroit, because you have a community and empowering spirit in Detroit that you will feel as you meet the people and talk to the people like nowhere else in the world. And everybody will tell you that. And thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Detroit and You. We look forward to educating you, inspiring you, and bringing you all the best Detroit has to offer. We'll see you on the next show.
This program has been paid for by Strather Academy, creating developers within our communities.
What is this? A text message from the Wayne County Treasurer's Office about my payment plan?
That's right. Our Project Text Message program allows you to enroll in our free text messaging service. All you have to do is provide your cell phone number. I'm here today with one of our customer service representatives, Karim Howell. She will explain how it works.
Our customer service team will send friendly reminders and text alert updates about your current payment plan. Everyone gets busy. We want to help you stay on track with your tax payments to avoid foreclosure. Call 313-224-5990 to enroll in our voluntary program. You will receive reminders on tax payment due dates and other important valuable information.
Join Project Text Message today by calling 313-224-5990 or email our office at textinfo@waynecounty.com. Stay in touch. Stay connected.